Hey, friends and ice aficionados, welcome to the Bro Roadshow. Hope you got your big buck. It's in the freezer already, or maybe you're getting ready to get them tomorrow. I know as Minnesota rifle season ends, Wisconsin is going to be starting here very soon. So good luck to everybody out there chasing those big deer with big old rocking chairs on their head. Before I go any further, I want to thank Chesterburg Toyota for being an on-air sponsor of the show. And Chesterburg is more than a car dealership. They're friends. They're going to help you find the best car, the best truck you need. They're also there with a state-of-the-art shop to repair your truck, give you an oil change, fix anything. They can do anything there. It is amazing. It's a state-of-the-art facility. Stop in and say hi to Brian and the gang at Chesterburg Toyota in Bemidji, one of the first ones in the nation, and they're the best. So stop in there, have a cup of coffee, say hi to everybody. And Timberline Sports in Black Duck, and their convenience too. So you go to Timberline and get bait when you're on your way to Red. Find out what's going on Red Lake. Hey, how you doing? And also get a pizza. You could get a sandwich. You could buy a gun. You can get bullets. There's big bait tanks. They're stacked to the gills with everything you can think of. Of course, Northland stocked very well and all kinds of very micro details. So if you can't find it there, yeah, I doubt very much you're going to find everything you need to be outfitted at Timberline Sports in Black Duck. You're on your way up to Red Lake of the Woods, and make sure to stop there. And so on tonight, our guests, Carl Adams from Timberline Sports. We're going to be talking about early ice, destinations, what's going to freeze up first. But first, let's bring on Nick Cox, president of Razor Augers, good friend and a very much aficionado and my tournament partner in the bass tournaments. And, I actually did pretty good. But let's bring on Nick Cox from Razor Augers. We're going to be razoring some holes here pretty soon, aren't we?
Pretty quick. That weather's kind of cooling off.
That's great. We've already had some sports shows that started up, and so your season in sports shows is already going. Where could people see you next?
Yeah, we're going to be out at the St. Paul show coming up, and then the weekend after we'll be at the Wisconsin show. So two of the biggest, greatest shows out there. And then followed up in January, like we are every year, we'll be out at the Ultimate Fishing Show in Novi, Michigan, just north of Detroit with Frank's Great Outdoors.
Those are three giant shows, and I noticed the last I was at two of those shows. I got to get to the Wisconsin one. That one's really ginormous, and I have so many friends in that area. They're by that's actually near. Where's that near?
Oshkosh, right by Green Bay.
Yeah. Well, I've been through Oshkosh many times, stayed there many times, and been to all the stores nearby there, the Mills Fleet Farms and Gander Mountains and little private shops. What a great area, and very fishy there. A lot of big water every direction you go, but that's a great venue. So that sounds great. So Nick, what's going on with Razor Augers? What's new?
Well, we are looking forward to another ice year, hopefully as great as last year with the thick ice spanning several months. I mean, we were out on Rainy Lake, pretty late season, bro, and fishing through. I mean, we were still in 40 inches of ice, trying to chase down those local crappies. But we've got we're looking for the ice season. We're looking forward to the shows. We've got some giveaways we're going to be doing here with the Bro Roadshow.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so tonight we're going to be giving away a 6-inch Ultra, which is essentially, the auger you see on the screen, or this one here that I've got.
That's a fantastic one. That one's great. I love it.
One thing that is kind of new with us this year is you see this flighting material and the thickness of it. It's a little bit more polished. It's a little bit stronger. So we have these new flutes on all of our 6 and 8-inch Ultras and lights. So that's something we're pretty excited about. But all in all, just looking forward to another ice year. Looking forward to getting up on the ice with you a couple times and, see if we can't put the hurt on some of those perch again.
Well, and I got to say, it cleans the hole out so well. I don't even have a scoop. I mean, Honestly, I never carry a scoop. And if there's a little bit of slush in there, I leave it there. And it doesn't stick at the bottom of the hole. That's what I love about the curved blades, that center point, and the wings. Those are really cool features. There's no sticking. It goes through smooth and fluid. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just make out those wings on the side. That was a really cool discovery there, and I absolutely love it. It's harder walking through the snow across the ice than it is to drill a hole now. I'm trying to find that the augers I used because I had some monster augers. I had really
One
tall.
one of the other, while you're looking at that, one of the other kind of exciting announcements for us is, we've always been this smaller company compared to all of our competitors, which are large corporations employing multiple people. But we have kind of broke into a new phase of Razor. And so we've grown our dealer network to 110 stores. And you'll be able to find us, as talking about Oshkosh earlier. We'll be in Bass Pro Shops in Green Bay. We'll be in all the Minnesota stores. So if you want to get a Razor ice auger, check us out online at any of our dealers, or now even Bass Pro Shops.
I can't find the extension one, but literally I was starting up here and all the way down to the ice, and that thing never bound up. You clear the snow now and then, but so much easier than the old gas augers, and so much lighter. And the neat thing, it's a 2-season thing. So you add a Razor auger, and if you have a DeWalt drill or Milwaukee drill, either or, you could add that to it, and you're ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to go and spend $600 or even $500 on a, tool that's never going to be used outside of the ice. So it's
Well,
sitting on your shelf for, 4 to 6 months a year, depending on where you're at in the ice belt. Sometimes some places even longer, like Michigan or New York, they might have a month and a half, 2-month ice season at best. So a brushless drill, excellent batteries. You're going to have Black Friday coming up. So take a look at these. All you got to do is pair it up with a Razor auger and you're off to the races. And I think a lot of people really found out last year that these drills are not like your grandpa's drill, right? These drills are able to get the job done. We were drilling through 40 plus inches of ice all season long on Rainy and the northern Minnesota lakes. Never had a drill chuck fail, never an issue. The only issue is, like anything electronic, just got to keep and plan for how much ice you're going to be drilling through. Maybe keep a couple extra batteries. When you're going out into that early ice period, a 5 amp hour battery, what these drills come with them, usually 2 of them, those are perfect when you're going through 10 inches ice or less. But as you go up and up and up in depth of ice, you're going to want to have the power to get through the ice with the drill. So batteries are important.
and the neat thing too with having a power drill, you could use it to anchor your house down. You can use it to fix something. It's not just this fixed thing that comes on flighting. We don't need that anymore. I don't hardly see anybody buying a power auger. They're buying Razor auger flighting and bits and adding them to their power tools. And basically it's about the same cost, but so much better. I use that to build porches, to do all kinds of stuff. And so it's good to have as a tool, even to take the lugs off your tires. It's good to have a separate drill with it. There's so many uses. And got a couple quick questions here. How much does the 8-inch weigh and how much does it cost?
So the 8-inch weighs about 5.99, just a little less than 6 pounds. We'll just call it like it is, 6 pounds.
Wow, that is light. No wonder. I had a great time with that last year, guiding, fishing, shooting. It was fantastic, and I still bring 2 different sizes because sometimes. So would you go give a rundown on the different sizes available?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have, we'll call it 3 different models or lines. We have the Razor Scout, we have the Razor Synthetic Light, and then we have the Razor Synthetic Ultra. The Ultra is our traditional auger, right? This is a 42-inch long auger. It's available in 6-inch and 8-inch hole sizes. The Light and the Scout are very similar platforms. I don't have one handy available with me, but it's our adjustable collapsible auger that we came out to market with a few years ago. Everybody loves that. It's when you've got this auger collapsed down, it's 31 inches, but when you've got it fully extended, it's the same length as this. So that's a great auger, not necessarily for drilling through, 3 feet plus of ice, but not everybody's running into that. So you've got the Scout available in 4, 6, and 8 hole sizes. That 4-inch is great for early ice. You've got the Light, which is available in 6 and 8, and then you've got the Ultra. So, the Light is going to be our lightest auger just because it's less material. I mean, our 6-inch weighs in at about 4 pounds on that platform. So
that's why I love it, and if you have if you're not really tall, for people who aren't tall, men, women, kids that want to drill, they're avid. You can adjust it to any size. If you're sitting on a machine drilling across a lake, you could narrow it down. So it's really cool, and for storage, it really packs away nice. I love that stuff, and different sizes. You don't have to just bring one auger bit. You just put it in the chuck. Have all different sizes. One for your transducer, one for the fish. Whatever you're doing. So
one for your buddies that don't get their own. We all got a friend. So
well, and I see at the shows too. I was amazed at how many Razor augers were going out the door versus any other brand. It was absolutely amazing. I couldn't believe it. And for a startup company, I think it's fantastic against the giants. And but look which ones has
not easy. It's not easy. I'll tell you that much. It's not easy. I've gone very gray in the last 6 years, but we're having a blast doing it. And I mean, I think we're onto something. The price per hole can go down with the Razor. You don't need a $600 dedicated ice fishing tool. You can do the same thing with a brushless drill that you can go get at Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, L&M, Fleet, wherever you want to get it, and hook up a Razor, and you're doing the same thing, but your cost per hole is a lot less than those other guys.
I think it's fantastic, and I don't drill anymore because of Razor. I just razor some holes. So
it's not because I'm with you. It's not because you like to make me drill.
Well, I know you're the president of Razor Augers. You love drilling holes, so I invite you all the time.
That's good. That's
always good to have you on, Nick. And we'll see it. Everybody, go say hi to Nick at the shows. Say hi, talk to him, check out the augers, but make sure you buy one or 2 or 3. They're great gifts. So we'll talk to you later, Nick, and we'll have you on again. And up next, he is the legend of the North Woods and owns Timberline Sports in Black Duck and has fished FLW. He's fished NWT, all the different circuits all over the place for walleyes. And it's Carl Adams from Timberline Sports. Everybody knows him because he's right on 71 heading up to Red Lake and Lake of the Woods. So come on, Carl.
How you doing, bro?
Good. It's cold. Are you seeing some ice?
Well, we've had some. The lakes have froze over a couple of days, but then it gets warm. Today's been pretty warm all day and rained a little bit. And I think most of the lakes that had any ice lost it. And we're probably a week away from an extended cold front. But once we get that, we're going to be making ice. And by December, I think we're going to be in good shape.
And I would imagine you have some ice stuff out already.
We've been slacking a little, leaving all the deer hunting stuff, catering to the guys that are still out chasing that big buck, all the muzzle loading stuff and all that other fun stuff that we have out, because there isn't any ice yet, but I know by Thanksgiving, I'm going to have that stuff out. I think, I don't know if there'll be very many fishermen by then, but it won't be much into the next week and we'll start seeing some ice. We're supposed to have some cooler temperatures coming up.
Well, that's great, and we're just on the end of the deer hunt, so a lot of orange because it's rifle season. Of course, the bow hunters had plenty of time, and we're right in the middle of that stuff. How has that been, by the way, the deer hunt?
The deer population's maybe down a little bit. There's still some monster shot. I've seen some pictures of some really nice ones, and it's still been pretty decent, but maybe not. People are always a little disappointed. There's maybe a few less deer. We still got a lot of predators. Those couple of tough winters a few years back maybe lowered the population. And me or you, neither one of us have shot a big one yet, have we?
No. And I've been having a hard time not going out in the boat. We because we've had this extended fall. Literally, it was like November is like October. Everything's just a little bit behind. fishing is fantastic. And you go out there and, we're surrounded by thousands of acres of land full of deer hunters. You don't hear a shot. It's good to be on the lake when there's nothing going on in the woods. And the fishing has been so good. Now the accesses are getting tough. And I had some chances to be out here next week, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get everywhere because it's freezing up a lot of the places I go. And even if you could launch, you can't get to the next bay. And as I've shown here in the last few days, there's a good solid sheet of ice. Some of that broke a little bit today with the wind and the rain. But if we get cold tonight, it'll make it solid. But it all depends what we get at night. So we need those nights to stay cold. And what are you predicting, Carl? When is it usually first ice on red?
Well, there's not very many years that you're not fishing on Thanksgiving, and this could be one of those years. It has been a beautiful fall. It's really enjoyable to get out in the boat a little, but it's probably going to hamper our ice fishing a little. It is supposed to be our first day where it never gets above freezing, I believe, is going to be Thanksgiving. We are going to make some ice from Thanksgiving through that weekend. I think the forecast at that point is going to be really, it's good. We're going to get some real cold weather right then. We will make some ice. Maybe we'll make enough before that to get some people out, but my guess is the weekend after Thanksgiving will be really busy.
That's what I'm seeing also. A lot of lakes held on. Not every lake is frozen. But before we go any farther, we have some giveaways. I better announce them here. I'm a little bit behind. So the Northland Bro Ice Kit giveaway is right here. Look at that. There's tungsten jigs. There's Twitch and Puppet, which is really cool. You don't have to move it. It just goes like crazy. All kinds of tungsten knickknack stuff for crappies, bluegills, big walleyes, and a stylish hat. That's the cool thing. And all the stuff's available at Timberline Sports and Black Duck. Carl stocks all this stuff. But I want to thank Jace and Charlie Peterson for setting this up. So one lucky winner tonight at the end of the show is going to get this, plus a Razor 6-inch Ultra. Look at that with the flute. So it's going to clean out the hole, and it's not going to drill a hole. It's going to razor a hole. So that's the giveaway tonight. So we've had a couple of questions. As far as hole size of hole, what determines the size of the auger you use?
Well, a lot of it is how fast you want to be able to drill a hole. Those smaller augers are really nice to be able to drill a little hole a little faster. And almost all of our fish will fit up a 6-inch hole. Now we do get some giant panfish that maybe you want an 8-inch hole. It also depends if you're, what your electronics are. Some of those new transducers, your Mega Live transducers, are getting a little bigger, and you might want at least an 8-inch hole for a lot of those things. So,
I agree, and I've pulled up pike. You can pull a big pike up a 6-inch hole, but getting his nose to go just right. If you hook him in the corner of the mouth, you can't get the snoot up the hole a lot of times. So it's good to have an 8-inch auger. If you hook a sturgeon, the nice thing with a 6-inch hole is it drills so nice. In early ice, you could drill an extra hole if you keep your line to the side. So there's a lot of things that you could do. A 6-inch hole can make a peanut, and I was looking for a photo for that, and it's way back in my archives. But where you overlap the holes and you make figure 8 or a peanut, and if you hit it just right, you don't with a razor. You just go right down the middle. Just put one end in the middle, and it just makes a big hole. So you can early ice a 6. You can use it so many different ways. But if you're going up to Lake of the Woods, probably want an 8. But Red Lake, you might be okay.
There's still some big pike there too. So,
oh yeah, as I found out this summer, there's some pushing that 40-inch range, and it's one thing I want to show people. When you're getting into fishing early ice, I pack light kits. So I've got little boxes, and I write on there. This is a box that goes in my pocket. It's a little Gamakatsu box, but I like how everything's in little compartments, and I don't want hooks hitting hooks. And so I like these little boxes, and I try to separate the spoons. So early ice, you don't need to bring the whole kit and caboodle, but that's something I bring. And also, I seen at your shop you carry fish armor shuttles, but this is a fish armor pole, so you could take your transducer off your boat and put on an extendable pole. This is actually a pole for my boat, so this extends to 60 inches, but that's a fish armor pro pole. And everybody keeps asking me what I use for a shuttle, and so I got fish armor. It's a rotomolded shuttle. There you go. You can see it right there. Now you see it has little rings or little pole holder on the top, but there's a Humminbird Explorer on the pole. The nice thing about it is you put in an amped outdoor battery, and the fish armor shuttle has little slots that you put your wires in. You don't have to cut or crimp it. You just open them up and it pinches them in. So it's so easy to work on. Got lights. They got a new ultralight that just came out. You can see it at the shows, and they have their original, which protects the screen, and it's good for big screens and everything else. But I love this, and I actually last year I used a 10-inch one. You can see it right there, and it fits really nice. But Carl's got a ton of these at the shop, and but shuttles, take your electronics off your boat, put it right on there. There's a Fish Armor Pro pole, and this is early ice, so I don't need to extend it. But I could actually see that walleye on my Humminbird Explorer coming through the weeds. I just seen a fish shape swimming through the weeds right up to my lure, and it was really cool. And what I've noticed is we drill more holes. You probably drill 2 holes every time you drill a hole, don't you, Carl?
Yeah, a person does now.
Just and sometimes they fish out of the same hole, but it's easy to tangle on those down rods now.
Yeah, I think most of the time you have it on a separate, and then usually you have to say, hey, there's some fish over there, and you drill another hole, then you drill another hole. That's why you need a nice light auger that you can razor a bunch of holes with, because you're chasing some fish around.
Absolutely. And I predict, Carl predicted after Thanksgiving, I'm going to stay right in the same ballpark. Not every lake freezes the same. And we all have lakes that we know are going to freeze earlier than others. And Red Lake's one of those lakes, but there's other lakes in the area. We're not going to mention small lakes because we don't want to, send a big crowd to a little lake. But if you study on Humminbird One Boat Network, if you go on that app, there is all the lakes that you want, you can get and bring up there to One Boat Network. And so you can go to your chart and you can look at lakes all over the place in 1 foot contours. Before you go, there's Winnie. And so the neat thing about it is you could look for shallow lakes. Shallow freezes first, or bays, anything you can access from shore, and look at it and mark some spots and then download to your Humminbird Explorer. So that's one way to go. So first ice, Carl, what are your key baits to use from Northland Tackle?
Well, any of those puppet minnows or that new twitching puppet minnow, those are good baits early to catch a walleye. That new tungsten forage minnow, a forage minnow's caught fish for a long time. And that new tungsten one's going to be really, really good this year. And I still probably use a buckshot more than anything else. And they've just made lots of new buckshot, so you have all your glass rattles in them, you have your tungsten ones, and the traditional buckshot, and they all catch fish.
Even like this galaxy color is pretty wild. That might work on red.
New color.
What I like is they're concave on these tungsten forage spoons, and that's new for this year. But these are going to catch everything, and I agree. That's probably one of the first things I'm going to send down the hole. But I still have my old regular and tungsten buckshot rattle spoons. They have them down to some micro sizes, and so that's pretty cool color. That's blue race car. But there's so much. But some spoons, some small jigs. If it depends on what you're fishing for. If you're fishing walleyes, probably spoons and hooks and sinkers and stuff like that. And then what's your early ice early ice on Red Lake go-to jig, what would you pick, Carl?
Well, just the forage minnow jig is a very good jig too. I use a plain hook a lot too, but as far as on my set line, it'll be something like one of those.
I've had good luck on the buckshot thumper spoon. Here, I'll get it up here. They make them in small size. I can barely pick them up. And then the tungsten buckshot has a rattle in it. So that and probably red glow is one of my favorites up there. Red glow and gold. Here's a tungsten buckshot spoon in that kind of goldfish red and gold, and it's got the rattle. But that's pretty much a Red Lake staple. That right there. And what depths are you keying in on Red Lake?
It varies. Sometimes we'll have a little, if the wind just before it freezes up, sometimes can stir it up in the real shallows, and you got to get out a little bit further. But most of the time, that early fishing is just 6 to 8 feet of water. You're not very deep, and you can find lots of fish without having to walk way out there.
So I've seen them many times before where you'll see houses in really close, and you walk by them. Going farther up to the rock piles or wherever in this deeper break. And then you talk to that guy on the way in and he hammered them. And we're walking by, but in my razor puck, I've got a little something. I'm going to show you how I hook a minnow that I just dropped on the floor here. Come here. And he's live. Maybe I'll grab another one. He went somewhere.
You'll find him later when he starts smelling.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, just know if anybody ever gets in my car for any reason, it's minnows. It's not me. So you take the minnow. So normally you'd hook it in the dorsal fin right here, but I've been really liking to hook it in the meat behind the head just a little bit, and even get a little bit closer. So I'm literally right behind his head. And last year I had really good luck doing this and slightly putting the hook forward. In water, they're going to be straight like this, but you want that hook slightly forward. And when you're dealing with big jumbo perch, that really helps. And I actually put a Siwash hook on some of my spoons. And if you don't know what that is, it's a single hook like this. And Carl has these Siwash open eye spoons. So the actual eyelet of the hook is open, and you could just take your treble off and put that right on there. And I got them up to some really large sizes. I mean, because you never know if you're going to use a sucker minnow, if you're fishing lake trout. When you hook them on a single spoon, you got them, and there's nothing to grab the ice on the way up. But I also use trebles. There's a time and a place for everything, and I've had really good hookups. But I'm going to pull one out here. I want to show you how that goes on. And I'm sure you sell some of these. So it has an open eye, and that's a Gamakatsu Siwash. So I'm out of 8s because I use a lot of 8s, for panfish. But you put it through the split ring and then crimp it shut with a needle nose pliers, and that's all you need is that on a spoon, and that's going to be a good way to T-bone a minnow, nose hook a minnow, and when you hook them, you got them good. Plus, you can feed it to them a little bit more. It's just been a really good way to go. But if anybody's thinking about going on the ice, we got to stress safety and make sure, and I'm sure Carl recommends it every time people go out, is have some kind of spikes. These are retractable ones, but even make them if you or you can pick them up at your place. How much do these cost?
There's a lot of different brands, but most of them are in that $8 to $10 range. So a pretty inexpensive thing if you would ever need them.
Oh, it's really cheap, and not that we don't wish anything to happen, but make sure you learn about ice safety before you go. Early ice or late ice, because even late ice, we see very few, but we see some stuff happen in the news and in places, big bodies of water. is moving, and so it's good to have a way to get out. You can even use your fingernails if you fall in, but outside of that, with ice, some key baits that people are using are minnows, waxworms, and maggots. And you carry all that stuff, don't you?
We try to carry a little bit of everything, so we have
I
all
know
of
you
those.
do. Like I say in the beginning, you can order a sandwich, a pizza, buy a gun, and get some bait and get all set up for any kind of fishing you want to do. I always get a kick out of that. And so, um, how far is it from Timberline to Red Lake?
We are 35 miles from most of the accesses on Red Lake.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's really close. So when anybody's heading up there, just remember you can get everything you need on the way, and plus sage advice. But let's talk about uh, a lot of the lakes on the interior. From Black Duck to Bemidji to east or west, there is hundreds of lakes, and we're not picking on any names of lakes, but there's a lot of different fishing available in panfish, perch, and a lot of that. And people have access to get jumbo perch, pike, and all that. And early on, uh, during spearing, a lot of guys, the spear people are out there first, usually on a lot of spots. And where they spear, they also catch other stuff.
Almost always they're finding some bluegills, they're finding some perch. Part of the fun is watching all those other big fish come through throughout the day also. So
that's one of the things that we target. And a lot of times, early ice, when I'm on a solid 4 inches of ice, I might not be able to get on the lakes I guide on. I'm out looking and fishing, but to make sure you got good solid ice, shallow lakes, and it's kind of whatever you get, you get. But sometimes there's bays or neck downs or flowages or little lakes attached to other lakes. Big bodies of water like Leech Lake, Cass, Winnie, and other big lakes, Bowstring on, Vermilion. All these lakes have little access points near shore that early ice have weeds. And aren't weeds the main draw on the lakes that you fish, Carl?
they are for that shallow early ice bite. That is still what is drawing a lot of your fish. So you want to be fishing right on the edges of that stuff.
So someone said for perch on Winnebago, you recommend a treble hook or a single hook? Well, it all depends. If you're going to be T-boning a minnow or adding, do you have wigglers over there like they use up in the UP, or maggots or waxes? I could put 2 or 3 waxworms on a single hook, and you just sometimes it's just better, and you catch more fish if you could add more bait. So, what size spoons do you use for walleye, Carl?
So, it's one of those weird things where you do have to adjust. Every lake's a little bit different, and every day is a little bit different. I think in northern Minnesota, maybe our fish are a little more aggressive, but I see the guys from Wisconsin, and they usually are trying to run really small things. And most of the time, like, I don't mind using a big flutter spoon. It never bothers me to have a great big spoon on. Any of your bigger fluttery type spoons, a buckshot flutter spoon or any of those will help attract fish from a little ways away. And especially during that prime time when when walleyes are aggressive, I want them to be able to see in that shallow water. And I'm usually fishing shallow early in the ice, trying to attract them to come from a distance away and come over and bite. But there's other days where those fish are really finicky. You can get them, you attract them in and they won't bite, and you have to downsize. And then your small tungsten baits will end up being your go-to, bait on those days.
I agree with you. And before I go any farther, I have to make the prize pack announcement again because the time sure flies. It just seems like it goes by so fast on this. We just get into a good groove, and then so we have the Northland Bros Ice Kit prize pack, and there you got a stylish hat to take the grip and grins with, tungsten spoons. You even got a forage spoon, a tungsten forage spoon, thumper spoon, all kinds of different spoons in there, buckshot, twitching puppets. So what a great haul. You have to stop at Carl's to buy a tackle box for all that stuff, but make sure to wear the hat. And thank Razor Augers for giving away a 6-inch Ultra, and that is super light and drills through stuff so easy. So stay to the end to have a chance to win that. Where the questions are coming in fast here, we'll get caught up here. Do you use plastics early ice?
I've tended to use mostly minnows, but every year I start using plastics a little more. I'm using them more and more in the summer, and they work in the winter too. They do well. I've still spend more time using live bait, and it's worked forever. So I haven't needed to use as many plastics, but every year I try to use them a little more, and they do catch fish.
Well, there's Northland has a bunch of different plastics. I love the bloodworm, but some of these mayfly type of stuff work really good. And that's another reason why I use a Siwash on a spoon, because I can have the plastic on straight, just like it would be on a jig. And you could just add it to any bait. But I don't put single hooks on everything. There's a time and a place for trouble, but plastics work good on everything, and you can get it down really quick. I've actually used some of the eye candy plastics through the ice, and early ice, they work great. They work great because they absorb scent. You can scent them a little bit, and I think that's one of the important things. And I actually mutilated some pan candy. I had some prototypes last year, and I actually snipped a little bit off, and I threaded it. Took the treble hook off, threaded it through the pan candy, which was not easy because it's really, really a tough plastic, and then put scent on it. And literally, on a good day, you could catch perch all day without ever putting anything on there. And that's on a tungsten slim spoon. But so they can't quite get it. There was one little tail hanging down, but they got that part. So just some ideas that you could try when you're out there fishing. But for the most part, I do use a treble hook, the minnow, and I have them on my St. Croix. And this one, for instance, is the house rod. So that's a house rod. I like that. And I have all the different rods. Speaking of St. Croix has retired combos for sale right now. So go online to St. Croix, and they have retired combos and reels on sale this week and next week. So make sure to check that out. Some pretty cool stuff, and they're amazing. And I want to give a quick shout out here to Alicia Ginter. Hope you get well. Sorry to hear about everything. I hope you get well. So there's that. So, but anyway, so let's get to some more questions here. Will Winnie perch be in the shallow weeds early ice? Well, I'll let Carl answer that one.
They should be early ice. That's where they usually are early ice. They'll start sliding out deeper before too long. Bro's probably been out there lately catching some, haven't you?
Well, what I seen when the water temperature was in the 60s to 50s, I had to get away from them. There were so many big perch on a lot of these lakes, not just Winnie. There's a couple other lakes that they're just ridiculous on. And I'm fishing walleyes, guiding for walleyes, and I had to leave the areas because there's so many jumbo perch in the weeds. But what I noticed as it got cooler and cooler, they disappeared, and so they dumped down. But I believe, and you probably think this too, because we fish a lot of the same stuff, but the perch come back. They dumped out a little bit deeper, maybe not really deep, and then they come back when there's ice and they go back in the weeds. I'm not really sure, but they sure disappeared, and you don't even see them on some of the stuff here during when the water got in the low 40s and high 30s. So hopefully that early ice, they come back in. But some years they don't. I've seen spots that were really good, many winners, and everybody's going there ready to get some perch, and they're not in the weeds. So, let's hope that we get some good ice, then a little bit of snow cover, and you can get your perch on, right? So that's what we're hoping for. And well, how long do the blades last on the augers? If I hit some dirty ice, that's usually hard on blade. So if you're in clean ice, no problem. But if the lake's all churned up with dirt and sand, Lake of the Woods has killed some of my, always killed my blades since the beginning. Everything I've ever used in my life, I've killed up at Lake of the Woods. And North Dakota, they get heavy winds. If there's no snow, you better bring blades, or make sure you pick them up before you go on the lake. Stop by Carl and get lots of blades. So that's very important. So hook setting devices. Are they allowed now? Can you use a jaw jacker, Carl?
I did not look at I think the rules changed just recently. So we weren't allowed to use those in Minnesota last year. I believe we are this year. I was going to double check on a lot of that. I haven't paid as much attention as I probably needed to, but I think it was changing this year. I think they just introduced something.
So I actually, when I'm using set rods, I'm outside a lot. I'm on a bucket. My clients, I put them in a house. I don't know what kind of house. It'll be a house of some kind. But anyway, so I love the iFish Pro tip up. And what I do is I set the rod in here and then have a minnow down. But the neat thing, if you keep it close, in Minnesota, you can't be more than 80 feet from your set line. But I can actually see fish approaching the minnow in the iFish Pro. And I've got a picture here. Let's see, there we go. So you can see here, I don't put it like super far away if I'm like on red, because red, you don't have to go far. You could have it next to a rock or something nearby. And when you turn the Humminbird Explorer, you see everything, even insect life. So I've got that on the Fish Armor Shuttle there, and I could turn the Pro Pole and I could see that. And that's what I like about it. And I could fish, but so you could you don't have to run to get your walleyes. You walk very quietly on early ice. But I like to reel in my fish. Oh, there's the crappie killer of Rainy Lake. That guy is the crappie master. I won't tell you his name because he doesn't guide, and so forget what he looks like. But that's crappie killer of Rainy Lake, and he uses iFish Pro tip ups also. But so that's one of the ways we go about it. And I don't often use a second line, but I'm going to use a dead-eye dead stick rod from St. Croix Rods. You got more time because soft tip, and then the flag pops. You're reeling your fish. You don't have line all over the place. So that's one of the reasons we use that. Another question: what's your thoughts on glow? Having a glow spoon.
We fish the two primary lakes where we're sending most of our people, and where you spend a lot of time, are Red and Lake of the Woods. They're both very stained lakes. Glow is extremely important. All that glow, the glow shot spoons and some of that stuff that have the lighted up sticks work very well on those lakes. Glow is really important on those lakes. Those fish need to see something. Flash is important. Noise is important. And on our stained waters, that stuff's vital important and makes a big difference catching fish.
Well, and another question we had, and do I use twitching puppets? Well, Carl does, and so do I. When I just broke off a rod. And they come with the treble. I have that. And then I also have I have a jig hook. This is a Gamakatsu jig hook. So I found it. It's different. It has a different angle. So it's a single hook. And why am I so hot and heavy on these hooks? Because with a spoon, you want it facing forward. But use a jig hook if you're using something forward swimming that you want to hook the fish. And then you could add a minnow on top of that. So I've experimented with a lot of stuff, and I want to get this up through the ice with a big fish and not have a hook to get caught on the ice. And even treble hooks, how many times they get hooked? It's not a lot, but sometimes I'll just change the size of the treble hook or add it. It's so easy to do. And so Gamakatsu jig hook for your forward swimming baits. If you want single hooks and you're tired, you're in a good fishing spot, you're catching fish like crazy, use a single hook. That you just take the cold snap disgorger, that little prong thing, and you can just stick it and let the fish go, and his mouth ain't ripped up. But I had a lot of ripped mouths late ice that I think people are just going like this, and these fish live. They look like something from Halloween, you know. But great questions, people. And if you like and share and ask questions, this is how you get in, because Carl and I aren't picking the winner. It's magically done by our own AI, Brooke. She's picking the winner. So uh, another question: how is perch fishing on Cass Lake this winter? I can't predict. Carl, what do you think? I think it's you got to try it. We don't always. This is such a big area. We don't always get to be on the lakes all the time, but I tell you, I won't lie, it's super good. But you know,
It sure was good this fall, and you know, I think the last few winters people have got around a little bit more than in the past to be able to find them. But it does seem to be a little trickier lake in the winter. Those fish aren't always. It's a little easier to cruise around and find them in the summer. But I think there'll be a lot caught out there again. It's been better the last couple of winters. More people are getting out there and catching them, and our perch fishing on a couple of those big lakes, Winnie, Cass, Bemidji, even Red Lake of the Woods. They must have had some good hatches. I've seen more perch off of all of our big lakes than I had seen in the past. And we're hearing the same thing on the southern lakes and Mille Lacs and all of those. Perch fishing has been very, very good. We have some jumbo perch here in Minnesota again.
Yeah, that's one thing. I'm glad you brought that up, because here's Mille Lacs. You know, I have to drive by like 900 lakes to go there, and I'm gonna drive there. I seen some beautiful catch and release shots of some really big, true, honest to goodness 2-pounders, and a lot of just footballs down there. And it's just an amazing fishery, and it got some pressure, but it's a gigantic lake. It's 130,000 acres, and all the lakes got them. Like Carl said, even Lake of the Woods, I'm hearing of rumors of some 14, 15, even 16-inch perch up there. And when they're on Lake of the Woods, they are just gigantic. And so maybe we could see a record. Our state record's a little over 3 pounds. So one of these lakes does have a chance. And even Cass, which is finicky. I'm not going to send you there saying you're going to get a bunch. Water is super clear. And when you walk up and drill a hole and you go to that hole, they're not there. And if you could drill a string of holes and they're not there, it's like you need a hovercraft or something, or a drone or something. I mean, they in a boat, do they leave us, Carl, or what?
They can. If sometimes they'll stay there for a while, but they can for sure. They can get spooked pretty easy in that shallow water.
So what kind of rod do I use? An iFish Pro. I use St. Croix, and I use the Deadeye rod. It's got that really soft tip, really cool rod. And even if you want to just have it in a holder next to you, so you can be quick draw, that rod tip is a bobber, because when it goes down, you got time. It's really soft, and then you can set the hook, but it's got backbone, so it like literally drops off 3/4 of the way up, and it has a super soft tip, and be a Lake of the Woods special there. But that's what we use. And then ice rods. What length do you go with, Carl?
I usually like pretty long ones because I'm fishing outside most of the time. I prefer to fish outside and not inside a house, but I have to have lots of a little bit shorter ones, you know, your 28, 24 to 30 inches if I'm fishing inside a house. And if I can fish outside, a lot of my favorite rods are probably 36 inches, and I have some 40 inchers.
Yeah, the outside thing is so much fun. And just like Carl, I'm outside all day, and I fish outside. And so this is a 28 incher. This is a St. Croix customized micro spoon, like one of my favorite rods. It's got the real soft panfish tip, but it's fast. It's just well made. I mean, this is incredible, and it's made in the same slow, very artistic process. And this is a home run, but they got some combos coming out. If you're even thinking about getting ice rods, St. Croix ice combos are definitely great, and they're affordable. And Carl's got a bunch of them over there. Uh, thanks for all these questions. This is great. And so I like to use longer also. I agree with Carl. And you get good hook sets and hook sweeps. And on thoughts on the 5 perch limit on Mille Lacs? Well, if it's getting intense pressure, you know, as far as I like having big fish around, and I don't know about that lake. It's out of my area, but I would like one lake somewhere that we could have a Cascade, Idaho lake, or something that people fly to. And we have the capability of producing gigantic perch. There should be one lake that you can go get a gigantic one. I mean, you can go to Cascade, you can go to Green Bay now. They got the giant ones, needle in a haystack out there in the winter, but so that's what I would say. Just give me one lake that we can make, a trophy lake, because we've had lakes in the past, and now it's coming back. So here's our chance. But Mille Lacs 5 doesn't bother me because that's a long way south of here, and I'm going to go fish it. I love it. I fished Mille Lacs perch for 30 years, and there's some of the biggest perch. And what do you think, Carl?
Well, a lot of times that's the limit that I give for myself anyways. If I go out and we catch 5 perch, I got a meal of fish just about when they're those great big ones. So if you have a couple people, then you have no problem having enough for a meal of fish for a few people. But I have no idea. Most of the lakes can handle taking a few more perch than that. I would assume that Mille Lacs would have been able to also, but if it gets enough pressure, it hasn't. And again, that's just a little bit out of our area.
And then we have a question, and you fish this. I mean, you fish all the stuff I fish. Predictions on Leech Lake. What kind of winter do you think it's going to be?
If we get good ice and you can be mobile, I think our fishing is going to be really, really good. The population on our perch on all of these big lakes. I forgot to talk about Leech a little bit earlier, but our perch population is good. Our walleye population is pretty good. The crappie and bluegill population in our area lakes are really, really good. Even on those big lakes, we're seeing more of those. If you can be mobile, and that's what happens in the winter is sometimes you can't drive your truck everywhere or you can't get around, and especially early in the season, because that's when fishing is the best. The early part of the ice, when you get to the dead of winter, they get a little more finicky and it's a little bit tougher. But if we can move around that month of December, we'll catch lots of fish on all of our lakes.
I agree with you 100%. And Leech is a wild card. There's some 30+ inch walleyes, especially that south end. You get down there by Trappers, Josh and those guys. If you go to Reeds or something, where are they going to tell you Leech? But in our neck of the woods, Winnie's not where I'd go for your personal best. Maybe Leech. As far as Lake of the Woods, there is nothing better than Lake of the Woods.
There isn't,
unless you're on. If you go into Canada, rainy, you could get some nice ones, but you ain't gonna get them on our side. you might have white beard by the time you catch one on this side. So I would say, other than the Arrowhead Lakes, and then of course St. Louis River, that stuff, that is a trophy fishery. But you're gonna have to talk to definitely talk to someone out that way, because that's a river, and they got icebreakers going through there. But in our neck of the woods, pretty hard to beat Leech or Lake of the Woods is number one. You just drive straight to Lake of the Woods if you want a giant personal best walleye. As far as I know we have some little nooks and crannies and tiny lakes that if you put in your time, you might get a 30-incher. You can get in your first drop on Lake of the Woods. You just never know. So that's what are you thinking, Carl?
There's no doubt that, and depending on what that personal best has to be, but there's more 30-inchers in Lake of the Woods than anything else in Minnesota. Maybe all of the other ones put together. I mean, it's a pretty impressive big body of water, and that's part of the reason why.
Well, and I like the questions here. These are great ones. What bottom feature do you look for? Hard to soft transition, and I think we do that all the time. But even through the ice, you can see stratification on the Humminbird Explorer. When you're just putting it straight down, you could tell if the bottom's really hard. And the thing is, any changes hold fish. because they're going to want to be on that hard bottom, cruising the mud edge, looking for mayflies. And this fall, when I was guiding, just out of the blue, I had 4 walleyes full of mayflies. And I took pictures of it on the cutting board because I couldn't believe it, because that's a summer thing. But there's mayflies out there already, and they're pretty good size, and they're chowing them. But when they came, we caught them shallow. But it tells you that fish will always hold to those hard to soft bottom areas, and inline reels. Well, Carl, do you use inline reels at all?
We stock lots of them and sell lots of them. And there are times I've watched on a camera and watched your bait, and it does move a lot less. You get less twists in your line, but I still primarily use traditional spinning reels on most of mine. But there are times where you can use, fluorocarbon and have it on an inline reel and not have your bait moving a little bit, because there's always a little bit and that can make a difference on really, really finicky panfish.
I agree. I love straight line reels, and I've used them my whole life. I've had fly reels and stuff designed for ice, and it depends. If the stuff catches on, it really works. It does work. In pressured areas, it works. There's people still using schoolies. They're not really contributing to ice fishing merchandise much, using schoolies. I mean, come on. I mean, let's get over that now. But anyway, they do work. I know. But you show up with that thing, how are you moving the needle for everybody out there? But, as far as straight line reels and fly reels, they do work. In our area, we really don't have to. But if I'm going to be fishing a highly pressured lake in an area, then I'll use them. And then so I just want to go through the last couple here. What's your transportation on a lake up here? We both like driving, obviously, and Carl's got a snowmobile. He's got a side by side.
Tundra. My Toyota Tundra is way nicer. It's heated and got radio. It's the easiest way to get around on the lake.
And it's from Chesterburg Toyota.
Yes.
Yeah. So we both got them there. And but early ice, I have a side by side. It's more utility. I mean, I hardly use it until ice, and then I can fit a bunch of guys, even some really big guys. I've had guys in there that make me look thin, and I mean big. And that side by side is just a way to go. And you can really or a small super light truck, but I love snowmobile. Is my favorite. I love fishing on a sled. I don't care if it's 20 below zero. I love fishing on a sled. It's the biggest, most comfortable couch on the lake. You get I got a big super wide track, long track, and the seat's nice. It's that real memory foam. I love it. But truck is the best. So favorite lake for ice fishing? They're asking us, Carl, and then we got to do the giveaway. What's your favorite lake for the ice?
Well, there's a lot of small ones that I do like, but truthfully, and both Red and Lake of the Woods are the two that I have to talk about the most. Not only are they right on the way through the lake, but I enjoy the both of those two lakes are amazing walleye lakes. The fish bite in the middle of the day. Most of the other lakes that I fish, even my smaller ones, when I might have good walleye fishing, it's a really short window. And you go to those lakes and you can catch fish all day long, catch lots of fish on the good days. So depending, early ice on Red is amazing, and as it slows down after a lot of pressure on Red, and then Lake of the Woods is even a little bit bigger, and there's more fresh ice out there, and you can find some and have just some amazing fishing. There
we get some. Yeah, it's very like remote type of fishing. I also want to mention everybody, Sunline pure fluorocarbon fluoro ice FC ice. Make sure to use that, and then also Carl carries amped outdoor batteries. Make sure stop by, say hi to Matt and the gang if you go to a show. Get some amped outdoor batteries, and we're gonna do a giveaway. But first, I want to thank Chesterburg Toyota for sponsoring the on-air part of the program. Chesterburg Toyota for the best in trucks. This place is gold, man, and they'll change your oil, do everything. Stop by and say hi to Brian and the gang at Chesterburg Toyota, where both Carl and I shop, and Timberline Sports in Black Duck. Just an amazing place that has good food, good guns, good bullets, Great tackle. Stop in. You can get gas. You can get everything. There's no alcohol there, is there?
That's
No.
maybe the only thing we're missing.
That's the only thing you can get. And then, without further ado, we do have a winner. The winner is Kelly Hendrickson. So, Kelly Hendrickson, make sure to send an address to us so that we can give you the prizes. Congratulations, Kelly. We got a lot of stuff coming your way. I want to thank everybody for joining in the show. And next week at 7 o'clock, you'll see us there. But I want to thank Brooke Drace for producing the show. And I want to thank Heather, Creative Marketing, and everybody that's with the show. Carl for coming on the show. Nick Cox from Razor Augers. We're all thinking ice, and it's been a great show. So, and then our thoughts and prayers are with Alicia Ginter. Alicia Ginter, hopefully you recover well. And outside of that, we'll see you next week at 7. Hopefully we have ice to talk about.